I don't know why I'm counting him down. He's got an IFB on, and he does this for a living. We just fake it every Friday. Rob Hughes, sports director, WLFI, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And I'm glad to have you on. Nick, I didn't want to just be by myself. I couldn't handle you by myself out here. We're glad that you're on as well. Nick Hardwick joins us on the phone, Indianapolis, via San Diego. Welcome to the show, Nick.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Well, you and I now have become fast friends. We've talked twice in the last week, but I still find your show. We had fun. I had fun writing the story on Triple X. You'll get a chance. I'll send you the PDF after the show.
Yeah, I look forward to reading it.
But we had some fun with that. Nick Hardwick, really one of the great stories, and he probably gets tired of hearing this, but really one of the more inspiring stories, really in the history of. I think it ranks up there in the history of college football, but certainly at Purdue. Here's a guy wrestling at 171 pounds, and graduates from Lawrence North, comes to Purdue as a student, gets inspired by what he was seeing on the football field, decides to try out, and a couple years later he's good enough to play in the NFL. That's a very Cliff Notes version of the story, Nick, but can you believe sometimes that it's worked out the way it has?
No, I was just talking to my wife last night about how lucky we are and how fortunate everything is kind of come into place, and it's been a dream come true. You know, I mean, it wasn't always my dream, but to have the life that we've been given and we've worked towards, you know, it is a dream.
Nick, Rob Hughes here from WLFI. I heard you say you were an LN grad. That I didn't know. I knew you were from Indianapolis, but I went to Hamilton Southeastern, and you know, I have to say, I'll have a hard time not holding it against you because you guys beat us in just about everything.
Yeah, I think your guys' school's coming up, though. From what I remember, Hamilton Southeastern at the time was kind of an up-and-coming school, and now I guess, you know, we've got a home back here, and we live, you know, fairly close to Hamilton Southeastern, and that and Fisher's High School, I guess. Fisher's didn't even exist, and
yeah.
From what I understand, they're both really fantastic schools, and they're great places to be and go. And we ran into a kid who went to Hamilton Southeastern at Target, and she was working a cashier, and we said, how's the school? And she goes, you know, there couldn't be a better place to raise a family than here. And she had nothing but good things to say about her high school experience, which you rarely hear from a high school kid, so it must be a great place.
And it's your home in Indy. If you, when you're kids and you have a 3-month-old and a just over 2-year-old, right? Is that
yes.
right? Okay, and
yep.
So and you'll hear people say this, it won't be long until they're in school, but will you be in the Fishers District or Hamilton Southeastern, should you live in your home in Indy?
We would be in the Lawrence Township
District.
Still
Lawrence, okay. So,
and I think we'd be going to Lawrence Central High School. But, you know, we're going to go wherever we feel like they're getting the best opportunity and for their personal growth and for whatever they're looking to do in life, you know, however they can succeed the best, we'll do our best to accommodate them.
Well, we're showing pictures on the screen as we go, and one of my favorite ones is this bloody nose of you, and I don't know which game. It was late in the season this year. But talk about the experience. Obviously, the Chargers this year, you guys made your way into the playoffs by playing extremely well down the stretch. You go to Cincinnati, win the playoff game that you didn't get a chance to play in a lot of, but then you come back and play Denver. But talk about that experience and what happened, you know, what that was like. You've had very good experience with winning football in San Diego during your 10 years there.
Yeah, we have had very good experience. We've only had one losing season since I've been out there, and been very fortunate in that regard. But the fun thing this year was we came off of 4 years where we were kind of we were almost there. We were a game or two shy, but somehow this year we made it happen again, and we had a real good confidence as a team, and we have a real strong bond and connection with each other, and we were able to pull it off and get in the playoffs and then beat a Cincinnati team that was looking very strong and who had beat us earlier in the year. And you know, we just found a way to get it done, and then unfortunately we couldn't get it done in Denver in the division round. But you know, for our team to make it back to the playoffs under a first-year head coach and a first-year general manager and a ton of new coaches, and there's a lot of coming together that had to happen. And you know, that's kind of why we made a late push, I think, as we started to develop as a team late in the year. We started to understand what our strengths and weaknesses are and how to play to our strengths and avoid our weaknesses, and we kind of just dialed in the program at the end, and we've made a really strong push there, and we're very excited about next season.
Nick, you play in a really strong division, obviously. 3 teams in your division makes the playoffs this year. It isn't often done. 2 years ago, Peyton Manning comes in your division, and you guys hand him his first division loss this year. How much fun was that?
Oh, that was a ton of fun, and that was a Thursday night game, which is we played at Denver, and it's really hard to win on the road, and it's a very tough place to play. And to win on the road on a Thursday night at Denver was it was a great task for our team to do, and it was a ton of fun. I mean, we had a bunch of really exciting victories this year, beating Kansas City when they were, I think, 9-0 at home, beating Denver at home, beating Cincinnati. We had a lot of really fun, notable games this year that, for me, along my whole career, I'll remember several games from this year. And certain seasons you can't say, well, that was a really notable game, but this year those were some of the most fun I've ever had in a football game, were those 2 games in particular in Cincinnati. Winning a playoff game on the road, you can't beat that.
You know, as playing center, it's, I think, the hardest position in football, and not only because you're on this show, but I think there's some truth to that. That having to, you know, I'm always amazed, you know, college football, Ross-Ade Stadium, certainly in your playing days, had its moments when it was very loud. It is so loud in NFL stadiums. How in the heck do you keep straight, you know, not mess up, not have happen what happened to Denver on the first play from scrimmage or in the Super Bowl very often? I mean, how do you keep yourself? Is it all a matter of focus? You obviously have to have your signals all straight. You got to all be paying attention. But it's amazing that, especially on the road, that is that harder than it seems, or is that overrated?
You know, I think our team really thrives on the road. We enjoy being on the road, playing in that loud environment, because it does make you focus and hone in on what your task is. Sometimes you can get lulled into at home feeling comfortable, but on the road you're tense, you're on edge the entire time. You come out and everyone's kind of barking at you, and you're barking back, and you have a real you come to life on the road. And I feel like our team really thrives on that and communicating, and we love yelling at each other back and forth down the line. And between Philip and myself, we just love really getting after it on the road. And you know, the week of preparation kind of takes on that same tone, because you're playing crowd music during the entire week, so you're not comfortable even while you're practicing. You're preparing on edge the entire time, and it's very good for your team, and we love it.
We have, and I'll let Rob ask a question. We had a question we get some questions in here on this show. Garen writes in, Nick, do you still frequent Chumley's and Broad Ripple when you're in Indy? And what are some of your favorite Indy spots where you like to hang out?
You know, everything's changed so much since I've really been here. I mean, this is the first time we've spent a considerable amount of time here. So everything's new. I mean, I didn't know the Hamilton Town Center existed, and that's a completely new part of town. And, you know, I drive down some roads that used to be farm fields, and now they're entire developments with mature trees, and think, what the heck happened? I can't believe I've been gone this long. And so it's a complete exploration. You know, it's like living in a new city. I mean, I know where my parents live. My brother moved, so I don't know where he lives yet. I'm going to see his house Sunday, and you know, I know where a couple of my buddies live, and that's about it.
Not to kind of back to the season, not to bring up the bad part of the season, but that, you know, only one team goes home happy, and that was the Seahawks. Where do you go both individually and you know, as a team when you lose that game and you have to go home for the off season? What's kind of the mental aspect of that? What are you thinking?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is, you know, it's just part of the deal and part of the growth process that, you know, you hope everybody on your team undergoes. And so for me, it really becomes about reflection and trying to get a real understanding of the season and how you performed and where can you improve. Both Joe Tiller used to say this all the time. He's like, you know, what are your tangible goals and what are your intangible goals? So, you know, you look at how did you perform as a teammate? How did you perform as a leader? Were you a good employee? You know, did you technically perform? Did you execute when it was tense and when it came down to it? You know, you've got tons of things that you can improve upon. Every year is a new strength goal or a new technique that you'd like to work on or implement into your game. And then, of course, you'd like to do some personal growth and take some time to find ways to make yourself better as a teammate, as a husband, as a father, as a friend, because we're really afforded a lot of time in the off season to undergo some change, so you can really evolve as a person from season to season, and you're not necessarily the same. You hope not to be. I hope not to be the same person going into year 11 as I was going into year 2. Right? You want to grow a lot, and this is a great time for that. So, sure, you don't win, and for me, I've never won a championship in anything, so I don't really dwell on the fact that I'm not winning. I want to make sure that I'm on the path as a human and as a teammate and as a family man. I want to be heading in the right direction. So you take the setbacks, and they're great opportunities to learn from. And I learned that in high school from my wrestling days. My whole goal in high school was to win the state championship in wrestling. Well, I got second place. So it kind of kept the fire going for the next endeavor, which ended up being ROTC at Purdue and then getting onto the football team. So you just kind of use that as motivation to continue to move forward strongly and with a lot of passion.
You kind of talked about improving there and the growth, obviously. With the NFL Combine this week, did you go to the Combine yourself?
I did, yeah. I was part of the Combine.
How was that experience?
It was a lot of fun. I tell you, people always say, "Are you glad you don't have to do that again?" Well, to me, the Combine now, looking back, was super easy. You don't have to block anybody. There's
cones, right?
There's no mental test to go through. All you have to do is put shorts on and run around and look like you can move okay and give a decent interview or two, and you're going to find a team. But to me, when I was coming out, the Senior Bowl was the real thing that was stressful, because you're blocking guys one-on-one in front of every single coach and scout and GM in the league. And that's real football, so that's real stress. The other stuff, anybody can look good, and you see guys fool teams all the time.
Sorry, Alan. This is, I think, kind of one of those, along the lines of those funny questions, but what was the most ridiculous thing you were asked? We've heard stories with all the things that these guys go through at the Combine. It seems like, no stone is left unturned. What was the most ridiculous thing you remember being asked?
Oh, gosh, I can't even remember. I think it was, the New York Giants coaches at the time, and they are not the offensive line coaches there anymore, and I can't even remember who they were, but they were kind of a young, aggressive crew, and they were really funny, just their approach. I don't remember the particular questions, but I remember their approach was
not fit for the show.
It was real aggressive, not really fit for the show, probably, but
it's the internet, Nick.
They were just, trying to be. They tried to buddy you up and then sucker you into a question of, personal character issues and that type of thing. But it was, looking back, it was really funny.
As you look at it, I asked you this question a couple weeks ago, but as you add up your pluses for deciding to play another year and your reasons maybe not to play another year, and I know at least as of a week or so ago you were still determining what you're doing, but how do you reconcile that? Where's your thought process at this point?
Yeah, I know which direction I'm heading now, and I plan on coming back and playing and having fun one more time around. I really feel like our quarterback Phillip Rivers is going to have his best year as a pro, and not just to date. I feel like this is going to be his best year, period. I feel that way because it's going to be his 9th year as a starter. Drew Brees won his Super Bowl his 9th year in. Peyton won his first Super Bowl, or won his Super Bowl his season in the league. There's something to it. It's something about a maturity and an understanding and just an ability to handle that. And while you still have good athletic ability remaining, I think it all kind of ties in together year 9. So I've been a part of that, and I love working with the guys, and we got a great coaching staff, and we've been through some tough times. The beginning of my career was excellent. I mean, it couldn't have started off faster than it did. And then we went through about 4 years of downtime that we talked about earlier, and now we finally seen an upswing in Charger football again, and the city's behind us, and you can feel all that. And I want to be a part of it. I want to see this team through to where I think we can go, and I think we can win a Super Bowl.
Well, good rationale. I know you were still contemplating it when I talked to you 10 days ago or so, and I know that the San Diego Chargers will be happy to know that you're coming back. My guess is they already do. But one last question: any new tattoos? You're famous for those. What's anything that's going to get yourself going for 2014?
Well, nothing new. I have to finish my right arm off still, so I started getting color on it last year, and I'm about 3/4 done. So I got to spend a little bit more time under the needle, and we'll finish that off. And then I'm going to wait till the kids develop a little bit more and get a real understanding of them, and then we'll have something for them, I'm sure, somewhere down the line. I'd like to get my chest done, and at some point my back, and then we'll stop. But that's going to be a lot of negotiating on my part with my wife.
Yeah, I bet it will. Well, I want to say too, Nick, thanks so much for your time, and I will send you the story after. Brandon Villarreal also texted me before. I gave him your phone number. I hope that's okay. And Brandon says hello, but you'll be hearing from him as well. But I know the Purdue faithful. We'll have you on again because it's fun. I really enjoyed your conversation about what you see in terms of motivation, how to turn around a program that's 1-11. It can be done, and that's an interesting. You have a very interesting perspective on that. Well, great talking to you, Nick. Thanks again, and we will look forward to doing it again.
All right, thank you, man.
All right, thanks. All right, Rob, thanks so much for joining us.
Yep.
Appreciate your questions. We will bring Brian Newbert in for segment 3 with Todd Griffin. Talk a little bit of Elijah Sindelar and obviously Purdue men's basketball. Brian just returning from the afternoon press gathering as well. So we'll stay tuned for a couple minutes, or stay put for a couple minutes, and we'll be back on Gold and Black Live.